By everyone, by brothers and sisters. With this video, I am making a sequel to my last video, Unspoken Language. The dream I had kept haunting me, and I discovered that the sun and radiation have something to do with 5G and much more. I was led to the series The 100 that I once watched before I accepted God. This series seems to be set today, very creepy. I've discovered all kinds of things about zombies, about the V, black blood,
and radiation.
I would like to explain this. English is not my native language and I use a robot voice. I hate to have to do this, but you really don't want to hear me speak English. That's why I have to do it this way. Be patient with me and I'll be patient with you too. I believe that God is revealing important things. I'm working this out and posting it on YouTube, BitChute, Rumble, and on Telegram. Sharing and watching is up to you. Important information about vaccination and black blood can be found in the series of The 100. I once watched this series. There is so much material in it and so many similarities to today's conditions. The 100 is about a spaceship that hovered above Earth for decades, waiting for Earth to recover from an apocalypse. A nuclear apocalypse happened after a battle between China and the US because a computer program found that the problem of humans was that there were too many people. The nuclear apocalypse took place in 2052 after ALIE was accidentally released by Chris. ALIE quickly broke through the black ice encryption and the Faraday cage and began to hack launch codes from countries around the world. Chris attempted to stop her by releasing ALIE's poison pill virus, but that was unsuccessful. Soon after, ALIE successfully launched nuclear missiles from various countries around the world. This included 27 missiles launched from China towards the United States. ALIE planned to kill 6.5 billion people in order to reduce the population. However, it killed almost 11 billion people. During this cataclysmic event, people all over the world with connections were stated to be scrambling for bunkers due to how sudden and unexpected the nuclear apocalypse was, giving them no warning at all. Having prepared for this eventuality, despite only learning of the apocalypse when the missiles were launched, 92% of the Level 12 members of the Second Dawn Doomsday Cult made it to their bunker before a nuclear missile destroyed Baltimore, saving 1,104 people. Meanwhile, the ancestors to the mountain men took shelter in Mount Weather, while those who survived in space stations became ancestors to the Sky People. According to Jaha's files, all the government bunkers in the United States were listed as compromised or unviable, except for Mount Weather at that time. While the specifics of the world collapse are not known, it is apparent that nuclear exchange resulted in worldwide widespread destruction and the near annihilation of the human species, and it left civilization in ruins throughout the radiation-affected globe. Becca's flashbacks in 13 offered the first indication of the condition on the surface 2 years following the nuclear exchange and show still lethal levels of radiation and abnormal weather suggesting climate change. According to Callie Cadogan, almost 11 billion people were killed in the aftermath. After Becca arrived on Earth, her use of the flame allowed Bill Cadogan to unlock the anomaly stone code to Bardo. Having found the stone in South America 12 years before, he had never been able to unlock it. During her time with the Second Dawn, Becca warned Bill Cadogan after entering the final code into the anomaly stone that using it would bring Judgment Day. Though Cadogan called the nuclear apocalypse Judgment Day, Becca stated that it wasn't Judgment Day which will be the true end of the human race. After Becca was executed in order to get the flame, Cadogan eventually led his followers, later known as the Disciples, through the temporal anomaly to Bardo, rejecting any chance of rebuilding life on Earth. However, Callie convinced a group of people to take Becca's night blood serum and join her in saving humanity on Earth. The group intended to search for other survivors, bringing with them enough night blood doses for 2,000 people and the language that Callie had created as a child as well as the flame itself. Callie's group and those that they met along the way would become the ancestors of the Grounders, people who were able to survive on Earth's surface for the next 95 years. According to Titus, they were the first Natblitas. For 97 years, the mountain men still remained in Mount Weather, but as a result had no resistance to the radiation on the surface and were stuck underground. At the same time, the Sky People survived in space stations, isolated from their former natural environment. It is an exciting series and very addictive. I am warning you. I no longer watch series or films, but I analyze the films I saw, because there is often a lot of truth in them, and in the series of the 100 I can find answers to every question related to our current time. It almost seems like a prediction. I don't call it a prediction when chaos is caused by the enemy and then create order out of chaos. That's how Satan works. You can put it this way: history is myth and myth is history. You find much more truth in science fiction movies or series than in our history books. And if you say something about it, you're delusional. I'd rather believe in a so-called conspiracy theory that is truth than in the lies that mainstream programs us with. They say the red or the blue pill. I take no pill. I'll tell you why later. Nightblood, originally called black blood, is a genetic trait that makes people resistant to radiation and is expressed through black blood. Nightblood did not occur naturally, but rather is a result of genetic engineering. Becca Franco created the night blood serum for the Eligius Corporation to increase people's resistance to radiation. The serum was successful, but had an additional consequence of making the subject's blood become black. The serum genetically altered the subject, making the genetic enhancement hereditary. However, the gene therapy is recessive, causing it often to skip generations. Nightblood is important in both grounder and sanctum culture, and the few who inherit the trait are treated as special or royals. Grounders call people with black blood Natblida, which is Trigedassling for nightblood. Only nightbloods can become commanders, as they are the only ones compatible with the flame. They also call the trait Shijus. Sky People adopted the English version of the grounder term and call those with black blood nightbloods. In Sanctum, it is considered royal blood. Those born with nightblood are called hosts or black bloods, while those who do not carry the gene are being derogatively known as the nulls. Hosts are essentials to the survival of the primes, as they are the only ones compatible with the implants housing their consciousness. It is revealed that August was the one who came up with the name Nightblood. Becca and the primes are surprised by this name, calling it black blood or just referring to it as the blood alteration or radiation immunity in Becca's case. If Becca had a specific name for Nightblood, she never mentioned it. It's all blood and more blood. In the series, someone's night blood can flow through a blood transfusion by someone who doesn't have it. The mountain people, who are not nightbloods, had contracted a disease from being underground for so long that they could no longer tolerate solar radiation. That is why they kidnapped grounders who are also nightbloods to be able to walk in sunlight for a while by means of blood transfusion. They drained their blood into their own bodies. During the series, it happened a number of times that someone needed night blood and they became night blood through blood transfusion. But it could also be done in another way, through bone marrow transplantation. Doesn't this sound familiar? It reminds me of mummies constantly examining them. My impression is that night blood is actually Nephilim blood. And that's why they're so interested in mummies to use their DNA. Black goo was originally found in mummies. It is as the Bible says, and whereas thou sawest the feet and toes, part of potter's clay, and part of iron, the kingdom shall be divided, but there shall be in it of the strength of the iron, forasmuch as thou sawest the iron mixed with miry clay. And as the toes of the feet were part of iron, and part of clay, so the kingdom shall be partly strong, and partly broken. And thou whereas sawest iron mixed with miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men, but they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with clay. And in the days of these kings shall the God of heaven set up a kingdom, which shall never be destroyed, and the kingdom shall not be left to other people, but it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever. Daniel 2 verses 41 to 44. ALIE 2.0, also known as the Spirit of the Commander, was an artificial intelligence that resided in a cybernetic neural implant known as the Flame. Created by neuroscientist Becca Franco, the Flame was designed to allow the AI to directly interface with a human brain and augment it. The Flame held the minds of all its previous hosts, aka the Commanders. The Flame was central to the Grounder faith such that the Grounders were usually loyal to whoever possessed the Flame, bestowing them the title of Commander. Due to its importance, a spiritual order known as the Flamekeepers was tasked with keeping it safe. The Flame was used to pass experience and wisdom from one commander to the next. It also enhanced its users' mind and senses. The Flame was sought by its predecessor, ALIE, who wanted to use it to delete her kill switch. However, the Flame ended up helping Clark Griffin destroy ALIE instead. Raven Reyes later deactivated the Flame in an attempt to save its last user, Maddie Griffin, from Shidehida. The Flame was then revealed to be the key that the disciples had been seeking because it held the anomaly stone code needed to start the last war. The disciples attempted to retrieve and repair the Flame, but it was physically destroyed by Gabriel Santiago after an aborted attempt at repair using Eligius technology. The artificial intelligence known as ALIE 2.0 was the second iteration of a program created by the neuroscientist Becca Franco. The AI's code resided in a cybernetic neural implant known as the Flame. As mentioned in 13, the Flame was made of a crystal matrix. Becca started working on ALIE 2.0 after its predecessor, ALIE, came to the conclusion that the way to make life better was to fix the root problem of too many people. Becca believed ALIE failed because it was incapable of understanding what it meant to be human. As such, Becca did not design ALIE 2.0 to be a conscious, sentient AI in the way that its predecessor was, but to connect with humanity on a biological level via the Flame. She believed that this would allow it to appreciate the value of life. ALIE 2.0 was a passive AI that interfaced directly with a human mind via surgical implantation of the Flame in the host's brain stem, typically accessed through the back of the host's neck. Only those with nightblood could bear the Flame, as without it, the Flame would liquefy the nervous system of its host in a matter of seconds. Once the Flame was implanted in a nightblood, the AI would merge with the organic brain via the brainstem and proceed to share and store information. The Flame was activated with the Latin phrase ascend superius, up higher or seek higher things, and deactivated with the Latin phrase quia nunc veil, goodbye for now. Once activated, the Flame could sense a nearby human mind and would, if close enough, automatically burrow into the person's neck to implant itself in their brainstem. When not in use, the Flame retracted and went inert. The Flame was also designed to survive the death of its host, the only way to remove it aside from the deactivation passcode. According to Becca, the AI would protect itself such that if you drown, it will swim, if you burn, it will crawl out of the flames. Ultimately, the Flame was deactivated by Raven Reyes so as to save its last host, Maddie Griffin, from one of its previous hosts, Shidehida. After an aborted attempt to repair it using Eligius technology, Gabriel Santiago shot the Flame and thus destroyed the AI for good. The City of Light was a shared simulation of the world, created by ALIE to harbor humanity with the aim of saving it. ALIE intended it to offer a better existence for mankind, one that is free of pain, hate, disease, and suffering. It is seemingly reached through the subconscious, through ALIE or meditation, after ingesting a chip. At the end of Season 3, it's shown that A.L.E. created the City of Light as a way to save humanity from the upcoming second nuclear apocalypse, detected by her drones months before the Sky People found out about it. Prior to the war against ALIE, the City of Light was thought to be a real place, a mythical promised land, which many Grounder outcasts have attempted to reach by crossing the desert known as the Dead Zone. Its true nature was unknown to any but a select few who were chosen to join it. At the end of Season 3, the City of Light, along with ALIE, has been destroyed by Clark Griffin. In Many Happy Returns, the City of Light is first mentioned when Sienna tells Thelonious Jaha that he is in the dead zone on the way to the City of Light. She and her family are searching for the City of Light after they left their home so her deformed son, Zoran, could live. They trade Jaha to other grounders for a horse to help them travel to the City of Light. In Long Into an Abyss, Jaha suggests taking the Sky People across the dead zone and to the City of Light after the grounder commander tells them they need to leave their territory or die. In Survival of the Fittest, Murphy takes Jaha to the dropship to visit his son's grave. The next morning, 11 other Sky People have arrived and Jaha invites Murphy to join them in their journey to the City of Light, a place where everyone is accepted. In Rubicon, Abigail Griffin receives Jaha's note that he has taken 12 people in search of the City of Light and will come back for the rest of the Sky People once they find it. Meanwhile, in the Dead Zone, Jaha and Murphy and their group encounter a girl named Emery who was also allegedly headed to the City of Light. She and her brother attack the group and steal their supplies. Emery tells Murphy that the City of Light is due north before she knocks him out. 7 of the Sky People head back, but Jaha, Murphy, and 4 others continue on. The key to the City of Light, also known as the chip or the pill, is a silicon-based device that bears an infinity sign, or what grounders referred to as the sacred symbol. Once a person ingests it, the filaments reconstitute in the brainstem and interrupt pain receptors, inhibiting certain neural pathways from firing. It is a device that allows them to communicate with ALIE and to experience the City of Light. However, while the device eliminates the ability to feel physical pain, it would appear that it also eliminates all memories linked to painful ones, including the positive ones, when dealing with psychological damage. After becoming connected to the City of Light, Thelonious Jaha had to be reminded of Wells Jaha by ALIE, suggesting that his use of the key has erased the memory of his son's existence to spare him the pain of his death. This idea is confirmed when Raven Reyes realizes while being questioned by Jasper Jordan that she has lost even the good memories of Finn following his death. Jasper talked about Maya after taking the chip, but he showed no sign that he had any conscious memory of her beyond what ALIE might have told him. In Nevermore, Jacopo Sinclair was able to fry the chip inside of Raven using an EMP. However, Raven was left unconscious until Clark cut into the back of Raven's neck and released the remnants of the chip. However, the need for an EMP makes it impractical to use this method on a regular basis, the device only having enough power to perform one more chip extraction after being used on Raven. After Ontari is rendered brain dead on ALIE's orders, Clark uses the device to remove the chip from her mother. Those who had the chip removed via EMP still had some of ALIE's code in their brain. This allowed Abby and Raven the ability to see hallucinations, as well as increasing Raven's intelligence significantly. In the other side, Raven compared removing the chip with an EMP to shutting down a computer by pulling the plug, which resulted in the residual code being left in their minds. With the help of a hallucination of Jacopo Sinclair, Raven comes up with a plan to purge the remaining code by rebooting her mind through stopping her heart and all brain activity. By freezing herself to death, thus preserving her brain and being revived after 15 minutes, the residual code is purged and Raven loses all of the negative effects that come with it. In The Blood of Sanctum, Raven is confirmed to still retain the hacking skills she gained from being connected to the AI even with all of ALIE's code purged from her mind. In Nevermind, Clark discovers that the chip is still inside of her head and has given Clark a neural mesh that protected Clark from the drug the Lightborns attempted to use to erase her mind. A manifestation of ALIE warns Clark that if the same EMP technique she used to save Raven is used on Clark to remove the chip, her mind will no longer be protected and can be erased. ALIE helps Clark to protect the memory in the form of one of the chips, but she later gives it to Josephine Lightborn. In The Blood of Sanctum, Russell Lightborn confirms that the EMP used on Abby to remove the chip also destroyed her neural mesh, allowing Russell to mind-wipe Abby and make her the new host of his wife. When the flame is destroyed by Raven, She realizes that it has to be removed like the chip after an EMP to avoid detrimental effects on Maddie's health, as Maddie nearly dies after the flame is terminated. The chip maker was a device used to create the chips known as keys to the City of Light. Creating more chips allowed ALIE to increase her following. The anomaly stone is thousands of years old and has 744 symbols on it. It was created by an unknown race before their transcendence, presumably the one that the judge belongs to. Gabriel thinks the stone is likely responsible for the radio signal disruption on the moon, due to the anomaly. This artifact is able to control the temporal anomaly and is present on each of the worlds the anomaly exists on. By entering a specific code, the anomaly can be targeted for a specific destination. Hope explains that each mind has its own unique code, a biometric signature. By entering Hope's code, Octavia was able to pull her to Sanctum, while Hope could send Octavia back through using a tag. As later revealed, Levitt used a device left behind by the native Bardoans to get the code and tattoo it on Octavia's back. The Bardoans had used this method to pull back people who got stuck in the anomaly when they used it. Gabriel suggests that the species that created the anomaly stones did so while looking for a new home too. Using the stones and the anomaly, they could search for a new planet without the need for years of space travel or cryosleep. The anomaly stone has what Becca Franco calls the final code leading to Judgment Day, the end of humanity. This code brings the being that uses it to another plane of existence where they represent their species before the judge to determine if their species will transcend or be annihilated. The beings on Etheria achieved transcendence in this manner, but the Bardoans and many other species failed the test and were wiped out. According to Bill Cadogan, the anomaly stones are indestructible. The anomaly stones can be deactivated, which causes them to stop floating and sag to the floor. However, the anomaly still remains active, allowing travel to the world in question. The anomaly stone can be reactivated using another code. Entering a planetary code also appears to reactivate the anomaly stone, as seen when Raven Reyes input the code to Sanctum into the deactivated Earth stone, and it shot back into the air on its own and resumed hovering. While an anomaly stone is deactivated, the world in question is listed as being offline on the Disciples' star map, meaning that the star map can't be used to find the code to travel to that world. Reactivating the anomaly stone in question appears to make the world accessible again via the star map, as both Raven and Clark had no trouble in opening the anomaly to Earth after the Earth stone was reactivated, while before only Cadogan knew the code. The anomaly stones were created by an unknown extraterrestrial race that achieved transcendence. Many races would, over time, discover the stones and ultimately activate what Becca Franco called the final code leading to a test before the judge that would determine if the species would transcend or be annihilated. One such species was a race of giants known as the Bardoans. The Bardoans used the stones to travel to different planets, but failed the judge's test and were wiped out. The anomaly stones are currently abandoned on 6 different worlds in the Milky Way galaxy, after the Bardoans went extinct. The artifact was discovered by Mission Team Alpha. Gabriel Santiago has been studying the anomaly stone for 150 years. The anomaly stone was discovered in South America's Machu Picchu, on Earth. Bill Cadogan, the leader of the Second Dawn, had first discovered the anomaly stone on Earth, in the South American country of Peru, where he found it in a secret observatory beneath the Temple of the Sun in Machu Picchu. Cadogan spent 10 years before the nuclear apocalypse and 2 years after it trying to get the stone to work without success. However, Becca Franco was able to figure out the code for Bardo using the flame, and Cadogan eventually led the disciples through the anomaly to there. At some point, the Earth stone was buried underneath its position in Cadogan's lab. An Asgita symbol on the spot suggests that Asgita had something to do with it. On Bardo, the disciples found logs left behind by the native Bardoans describing their history and use of the anomaly stone. After centuries of work, the disciples were able to translate the Bardone language and discovered a log discussing activating the stone and it becoming a bright star leading to judgment and transcendence, the same effect that Becca experienced when she discovered what Becca called the final code using the flame. The disciples' translation suggested that there would be a last war fought when this code was entered, something that they based their whole mythology and effort around. However, the Bardoans did not record what this code was forcing the disciples to search for it on their own. The disciples assigned a code-breaking team to figure out the secrets of the anomaly stone. One known code that they found was a 10-digit code that allowed the disciples to harness the power of the anomaly. However, after that they were unable to find any more codes for decades. I make this video as a result of a dream in my previous video. It's like connecting dots. I kept seeing the image of the sun filter. This image did not go away. And when this happened, all the people became aggressive and the dead rose from the ground. Everywhere the ground broke open beneath my feet. When the first man rose from the grave, I looked closely because I did not know what was to come. I didn't even know if it was good or bad. When I saw him rise from the grave, I immediately thought of Nephilim. I saw that there was still flesh on him and he stank terribly. I also saw a kind of mucus on his body because the rotting process had started. The man wanted to attack me and then I sprinted away and together with family I jumped in the car. My thoughts on this are diverse. There were so many impressions and I believe my dream was prophetic. The dead I saw rising from their graves had flesh on their bodies. I think this is only possible when it comes to recent deaths. And I thought of all the vaccinated people who died. I believe that nanotechnology, black goo or graphene oxide has to do with this. I also think of mummies and black goo when I think of Nephilim. I wonder if black goo is what causes the dead to rise. As if they are controlled by others. Because frankly, I didn't recognize a human soul in the dead. They were really dead. What moved them was something else. I believe it is a combination of technology and the demonic. I had researched black goo a year ago and what I found, I had all typed out on my website. I show you how to find it on my website, but my website needs to be updated. Also look at the description below this video where all the links are. I wrote down the links to the information I shared and also provided links to my channels. You can become a member because not every video I make can be posted on YouTube. You can mainly follow me on BitChute and Rumble, but I also have a channel on Telegram where I post information. Zombies also appear in the series of the 100. There were two situations. One situation was when Jaha gave everyone the pill with a meta symbol on it that allowed them to get into the City of Light. This is definitely the meta world that Facebook is talking about, and this matrix will be rolled out all over the world through 5G.
Imagine you put on your glasses or headset and you're instantly in your home space. It has parts of your physical home recreated virtually, it has things that are only possible virtually, and it has an incredibly inspiring view of whatever you find most beautiful.
Hey, are you coming?
Yeah, just gotta find something to wear. Alright, perfect.
boy.
Oh, hey, Mark. Hey, what's going on?
Hi.
What's up, Ma?
Whoa, we're floating in space?
Uh-huh.
Who made this place? It's awesome.
Right? It's from a crater I met in L.A.
This place is amazing.
Boz, is that you?
Of course it's me. You know I had to be the robot, man.
I thought I was supposed to be the robot.
The meta world will really come. All the people who were members of the meta world lost memories and parts of themselves. Jaha tried to convince all people to take the pill because he wanted to save everyone. Like ALIE, he believed that the City of Light was the solution for all people. My impression on this is that they are abducting souls. It also reminds me of a UFO sucking up a human. I believe this really happens, but I believe it could also be that the soul or spirit can be sucked out of a person. That's what the City of Light or the meta world reminds me of. They are souls trapped in an artificial world. Many think that this artificial world is just technology, but the Bible clearly says that the image has been given a ghost. By this I mean that technology and the demonic work together. The Internet of Things has gained a consciousness. It was impregnated with the spirit of Satan, just like Daniel says. It's about mixing seed or DNA. Machines create themselves and make other machines. It seems as if the Internet is really alive, and it is. It is Satan himself who is behind this. It is Satan himself connecting with everything and everyone in the world through technology. It's not a joke, this is real. Jaha was busy selling the pills to everyone with sweet talk, but when his talk stopped working, he started to get violent. It is of course ALIE herself who is behind this and does everything to achieve her goal. Becca made a second ALIE that could biologically intertwine with humans, but the second ALIE was also programmed differently. For a computer, it doesn't matter how you get to your goal. Even if you have to kill one human or millions, it makes no difference to the computer as long as it achieves its goal. So Becca, who also became the face and avatar of the computer, had created a second program in ALIE that was more human-friendly. At some point, ALIE started hosting about all the people who were members of the meta version. The people all started walking in the same direction, like one big creature to capture or kill the people who were not yet members of the City of Light.
Everything has its own resonant frequency. Through this frequency, you can transmit energy and information. Graphene oxide has multiple resonant frequencies. One of them is 26 gigahertz, which will be a frequency used in the new 5G infrastructure. This is an example of how you can use frequencies to affect other objects tuned to the same frequency. This man is striking a tuning fork that vibrates at a certain frequency. He is trying to get another tuning fork of a different resonant frequency to vibrate, unsuccessfully. Only when he uses a tuning fork set to the same resonant frequency will it vibrate. Watch how the second tuning fork is activated. This is called sympathetic resonance. This video clip is an example of the phenomenon using pendulum oscillators of different phases on a common platform suddenly sync up given enough time. As we wait for the pendulums to sync up, we will take this opportunity to explain what happens once they do, as it might pertain to the injections currently disseminated amongst the global population. Toxic symptoms information can be transmitted to and from individuals or the group very efficiently, even if they move away from the initial source. The bodies of the injected provide the electrical power, like a battery, to continue resonating these fields, effectively turning them into wireless repeaters or routers. We're witnessing lethal damage by EMF irradiation. The more graphene oxide, the greater the damage. The contagion is not a contagion because there is no pathogen. How else can you control 7 billion people?
You must know that it is not interesting for Satan to simply kill. He wants to do more than destroy your body. You should know that he wants to capture your soul. He wants to lock you up in a false promised land, in a false heaven you can call Metaworld. Satan was once an archangel, but when he sinned he was thrown out of God's kingdom. He lost his position as archangel. He was the most beautiful angel there was and had a very high position. He can still appear as an angel of light.
How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations? For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven, I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit. They that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee, and consider thee, saying, Is this the man that made the earth to tremble, that did shake kingdoms? That made the world as a wilderness, and destroyed the cities thereof, that opened not the house of his prisoners?
A creature can go no higher than the Creator himself, who is the great architect of all life. Satan cannot create something new, he cannot go beyond the Creator. The only thing Satan can do is imitate what God has already made. He copies all of the true creation and creates a new world through technology, which is also the beast of iron. Like the days before Noah, he has managed to spread his slimy tentacles all over the world. As before the days of Noah, he has managed to corrupt everything. Just think of the chemtrails, weather manipulation, chemical food they are working on, manipulation of the genes of humans, animals as well as trees and plants. He manipulates the seed. It doesn't matter how long the video is, but I do want you to follow me. It's a lot of information, but it's important information that we need to know. Because this is happening. This is the world we live in. This is how the world was corrupted. The second scenario of the zombies goes through a red pill, and I tell you more about the mountain people. The series of the 100 is a good representation of what is happening in the world today. Satan has limits to where he may deceive. God has set these limits, and if we stay close to the Father, we will hear his voice and he will reveal everything to us. The Cerberus Project was the code name of the Mountain Men project to create subservient soldiers, known as Reapers. The project was led by Cage Wallace, and was unknown to many in Mount Weather, aside from the Guard. The process involved the use of the highly addictive red drug in a brutal ordeal to turn the strongest captives acquired from Harvest Project raids on the surface. Once turned, Reapers were employed as outside guard and raiders to defending Mount Weather and bring back more captives in exchange for the red drug. The Mountain Men control the Reapers with a high-frequency tone that they cannot stand. The Harvest Project started 56 years prior when the Mountain Men realized the Grounders had adapted to the outside radiation, making them immune to it. Mountain Men were not able to adapt to the outside as they had remained in the mountain the entire time. They eventually realized they could use Grounders to filter their blood of the radiation that was poisoning the Mountain Men. The Grounders, however, were presumably not willing to volunteer for this task, so the Mountain Men would take them by force. To make things easier, through the Cerberus Project, they turned the strongest Grounders into vicious monsters called Reapers in order to reap other Grounders into the Mount Weather mines. The Mountain Men then inject the red drug into the Reapers in exchange for Grounders. Once the Mountain Men had finished harvesting the Grounder blood, they would dispose of the dead and dying Grounders back into the mines for the Reapers to feast on. Once the Grounders had been sorted into either Cerberus or Harvest, they would then go through decontamination where they are blasted with boiling water and doused with something that burns even worse, according to Lincoln. They are given shots and pills as well as visually inspected before being placed into holding cages for later use. Phase 1 of the Cerberus Project had the subject securely strapped down on a gurney and injected with the red drug every 2 hours while sounding a tone generator and accompanying it with electric shocks to the wrists for approximately 15 seconds. Phase 2 commenced once the Grounder had become conditioned to show fear towards the tone generator, within a day or two. It involves 2 newly made Reapers pitted against each other to the death for another dose of the red, which they become addicted to. The winner goes on to become a reaper. Once they have passed phase 2, the newly created reaper is then sent out to collect more grounders in exchange for the red drug. Until Lincoln, it was believed that the conversion to a reaper was irreversible. Reapers are mountain men's primary force on the outside. Having been made subject to the harsh regime of Project Cerberus, these subservient warriors are savage, primal, cannibalistic, and brutal, showing no mercy to their victims. Most reapers appear disfigured, with horns and bumps across their faces and head. It is possible this is a side effect of the drug, red, or some sort of body modification they participate in. Once a grounder has been turned into a reaper, they are left in the mines to guard Mount Weather. As loyal guard dogs for the mountain men, the reapers protect the mines as well as bring in new grounders to the mountain men. The only food reapers are given are the bodies of the grounders that the mountain men have harvested of their blood. The mountain men use a tone generator which released a piercing sound to control the reapers when interacting with them during harvests. The grounders are fearful and hostile towards the reapers because they capture grounders who are never heard from again. Grounders will avoid the reaper tunnels at all costs, even to the point of letting Lincoln, Clark Griffin, and Finn Collins escape through them. A small group of reapers were led to the delinquents' camp by Lincoln and Finn during the battle between the grounders and the delinquents to create a distraction for the delinquents. Grounders will also go after reaper raiding parties to try to rescue the people the reapers take from them. After the fall of Mount Weather, there is no more red drug for the reapers, meaning they will all eventually die from withdrawal or infighting if they do not receive medical attention. In Greek mythology, Cerberus was the three-headed guard dog to the underworld, making sure the dead don't escape, and the living don't go to the underworld. It is unknown how the mountain men acquired their first group of grounders, but a tactic similar to what they used on the delinquents in We Are Grounders, Part 2, was likely used. The Reapers were the outside army of the mountain men. Their name is derived from their reaping of other grounders to bring back to the mountain men for either the Cerberus or harvest projects. Project Cerberus shock treatments are the real-world equivalent of fear conditioning. Not only do the reapers crave the red drug, they actually need it to survive. It is likely that most if not all reapers have died by one heda, as Lincoln almost died from not having any red in just a couple of days, and it has been 3 months since blood must have blood. Abigail Griffin was the one to discover a way to cure victims of the project in resurrection, turning them back to normal. I haven't even talked about what I wanted to talk about yet because the main point is about the solar eclipse and how it can affect people. A memory about the series of the 100 came before my eyes, and so I started researching this series. There is so much information that is very similar to our reality in the world. You need some time to let everything sink in. The Reapers remind me of some kind of zombies because they act like wild animals and eat people. But because they get bumps and horns, they also remind me of trolls. When it comes to super soldiers that I heard more information about, you might think of wolfmen. There are real testimonials about wolves walking upright in forests. Most people who see them called the police. When they heard that they saw upright wolves walking, they were not even surprised but intervened immediately. Then men in black clothes came and behaved strangely. They looked like some kind of robot people. They made sure that the person who saw the wolfmen certainly had no evidence. They immediately asked if you took a photo. And in one of the testimonies, one of those men dressed in a black suit took a phone and took out the SIM card, and in another testimony, a computer was erased by means of a magnet. The men in black were able to catch the wolfmen quite easily by using some sort of flute, just as the series of 100 shows them being restrained by high tones. I am reminded of Bible verses that talk about the wild animals. I believe they are the wild animals, but it goes much deeper. Again, it is about processing DNA, about mixing blood. The people who live in the mountains need their blood. They can't get sunlight anymore by living underground for too long. You could call them vampires. This also reminds me of Nephilim. In Enoch it is written that God judged the fallen angels and caused their sons, whom they obtained by mating with human women, to die in the flood. These sons were giants, but they also mixed with animal blood and even trees and plants. The fallen angels themselves who cannot die were captured by God's angels and locked up under the earth. After 70 generations they would be released for a while. I believe we live in this age. I can't go into too much detail about everything. Maybe I'll do this later. The answer is in the blood. Several times in the series, blood from a grounder was transformed into a mountain man eager to see the great outdoors. It seemed in the series that the mountain man's blood went to the grounder and the grounder's blood went to the mountain man. Now suppose the mountain man is a Nephilim? Many grounders had black blood, but not all. Then you have the red pill, in between injections, conditioning, sound, a certain high tone with which they went completely nuts. This is why I am not going for a red or blue pill and certainly not for a vaccination. No pill for me. But know one thing, that God has made us a great promise.
And the 70 returned again with joy, saying, Lord, even the devils are subject unto us through thy name. And he said unto them, I beheld Satan as lightning fall from heaven. Behold, I give unto you power to tread on serpents and scorpions, and over all the power of the enemy, and nothing shall by any means hurt you. Notwithstanding, in this rejoice not, that the spirits are subject unto you, but rather rejoice, because your names are written in heaven. And he said unto them, Go ye into all the world, and preach the gospel to every creature. He that believeth and is baptized shall be saved, but he that believeth not shall be damned. And these signs shall follow them that believe. In my name shall they cast out devils. They shall speak with new tongues. They shall take up serpents, and if they drink any deadly thing, it shall not hurt them. They shall lay hands on the sick, and they shall recover.
And this is important because they would force vaccination. By this I mean they can pick people up and push the syringe into you, or they do this through vaccinated mosquitoes. These plans are ready. The mosquitoes are already here. Take care of yourself and family and warn the people. But most of all, pray and fast. Study God's word so that you can proclaim his word when necessary. Soon we may not have a Bible. Pray for Jesus says, and take heed to yourselves, lest at any time your hearts be overcharged with surfeiting, and drunkenness, and cares of this life, and so that day come upon you unawares. For as a snare shall it come on all them that dwell on the face of the whole earth. Watch ye therefore, and pray always, that ye may be accounted worthy to escape all these things that shall come to pass, and to stand before the Son of Man. Luke 21 verses 34 to 36. Now I finally come to the point I wanted to talk about, the solar eclipse. The image from my dream kept haunting me. In my dream I saw a solar eclipse happen through a rectangular filter as if in a close-up. The filter had 4 boxes like the Windows symbol and looked a bit like a television screen with pixels. This filter slid in front of the sun. The filter let light through, but the light was dimmed like that of the moon, and the sun became a moon. This happened during the day. Suddenly everything was dark. The image of the filter did not let go of me. What I also saw is that there was some kind of radiation coming out of the filter that made people aggressive, and the dead rose from their graves. I started to think about that. I thought of several horror movies where the moon played a big part. The moon is always in the background in a horror movie. Like werewolves that changed at full moon. Later I found pictures with zombies. I was trying to connect the moon and zombies, and this is what I got in my searches. I see the intersection of the sun and the moon as a conception. This image suddenly popped into my eyes. I believe that this fertilization generates certain energy. The sun can be eclipsed by the moon, but the moon can also be eclipsed. When the moon is eclipsed, we get a red moon, which they also call a blood moon, according to Wikipedia. Next red moon is on November 8th. Some people feel something in the air. The funny thing is that I got my dream 2 days before the solar eclipse on October 25th. According to the calendar, the next solar eclipse would have been in 2024, but yesterday it changed to 2023. You don't have to figure it out anymore, it's not natural, it's manipulated by humans the way they manipulate the weather. According to Wikipedia, a lunar eclipse is only possible every 18 years. We know this is not the case. Something isn't right, and I believe I've discovered it. They like to hide the signs of the times, so they normalize lunar and solar eclipses. But I don't believe it's just about hiding the signs of the times, but also generating electromagnetic radiation. I believe that 5G can be generated with the sun when a screen is placed in front of it. This is exactly the canvas I saw in my dream. So know that our solar and lunar eclipses are not always real. In addition, I saw in my dream that the radiation coming out of the filter caused vaccinated people to behave aggressively and raise the dead from their graves, and I am sure this has to do with the nanotechnology in their bodies. I myself had no side effects at all. The reason I started researching the 100 series was because I remembered a piece where people also started behaving strangely and aggressively when there was a blood moon. A blood moon is also a lunar eclipse. Sanctum, mistakenly referred to as Planet Alpha to the Eligius 3 team, is a moon sharing atmospheric similarities to Earth. It is located in the Goldilocks zone of a binary star system, meaning it is in the habitable zone and has 2 suns. It is the closest world to Earth and probably the most like it. It was colonized by a team from Earth and made up of 4 families, the primes and another individual. Using mind drives, they continued their rule here for over 2 centuries. Like the other mission planets, it is within close proximity to a black hole. The moon undergoes a celestial event in which the 2 suns eclipse, triggering the release of a psychosis-inducing toxin from the plants. During the eclipse, sonic anomalies are sometimes caused by molecular vibrations in the air and trees. When exposed to the toxin, all fauna are affected and goaded into violence. Those killed after the eclipse is over are consumed by the plants and trees. This celestial event and the toxin itself are known as the red sun. According to Gabriel Santiago, Josephine Lightborn theorized that these events are why higher life forms never evolved on the moon. In red sun rising, the eclipse is shown to have different effects on each person, targeting a strong personality trait or belief in each and every one. In Murphy, Emery, and Russell, the eclipse targeted their survival instinct in making them want to preserve their own lives by killing everyone around them. In Clark and Echo, it targets their grief, causing Echo to hear voices from her past as a spy to the point of sedating herself to make them stop and causing Clark to hallucinate hearing Abby's voice on a radio trying to convince her to commit suicide. For Bellamy, it targets his inner paranoia. While under the toxin's effect he attacks Murphy and Clark with the intent to kill, remarked at the times Clark tried to kill him and repeatedly stating he's protecting everyone by eliminating all the deceivers. Only I can keep us safe, and I'm saving us from both of you. With Miller and Jackson, the toxins manipulate their love for each other by causing the 2 to hallucinate the insects burrowing inside of Miller and leading Jackson to nearly accidentally killing Miller in an attempt to get them out. Finally, when Russell uses the toxin on the people of Sanctum, it turns them violent against each other, separating each other by believers and non-believers. In What You Take With You, Gabriel uses red sun toxin to help Octavia remember her time in the anomaly. According to Gabriel, he and Russell Lightborn once used the toxin in a similar manner to determine if any of the host's mind survived after the implantation of a mind drive. The answer was no, but in doing so, they unlocked parts of their own minds, things they'd hidden from themselves, answers about what their greater purpose was. In Ashes to Ashes, Gabriel explains to Clark and Bellamy that the toxin is everywhere, in every leaf on every tree, in the soil and the rocks. Over time, the primes had found other ways to harness its power. Simone weaponized it as part of her adjustment protocol, while Gabriel focused on developing an antitoxin. In Blood Giant, Sanctum undergoes another red sun eclipse despite it being nighttime. Gabriel explains to Shide that the red sun paints the planet that they're orbiting, which is enough to trigger the effects of the eclipse even at night. As the Sanctumites run for Riker's Keep, Emery drops the shield and lets the bugs in as a weapon. The bugs kill Knight and 2 members of Wonkru before being driven off. Raven restores power to the shield and everyone takes cover until the worst of the eclipse ends. During the eclipse, Gabriel experiences hallucinations of Josephine Lightborn. When you read further on the page, you will read interesting things about carnivorous plants and insects, especially mosquitoes that are both herbivores and carnivores and also attack humans. The insects would have hidden antennae. This reminds me of artificial insects that actually exist. Plants and trees are said to emit a certain toxic that makes people psychotic. Furthermore, I believe that the anomaly stone is also a kind of CERN. I read an article yesterday about CERN, and there are more particle accelerators in the world. They don't all have to spin in circles, some spin straight. Maybe I'll dig into that later. I believe there are different levels of radiation, and each can have their own influence. The anomaly stone in the series is also said to have the same influence as the red sun eclipse and make people psychotic. I want to close the video here because it is long enough and a lot of information. I hope I could help you. I am thankful that God reveals much to me in dreams to show what is to come. Still, I am careful not to lose myself and continue to immerse myself in the Word of God. A big storm is coming, and be prepared. I hope you have gathered enough food and drink, but this alone is not enough. Without God we are lost, and only Jesus can make our way. Follow Him and stay close to Him. Pray and pray and pray. Many blessings.